welcome back to the newest episode of Students on Campus with Bella McClintock and
Justin Fry.
This past week of May 22nd, there was a continuation of the Momentum series event with guest speaker, author, and activist Curtis Chin in the Multicultural Center. And Friday on campus, there was the Multicultural Fair from 2 to 7 p.m. with food and festivities hosted by the De Anza student government. The upcoming week of May 29th, there was no school on Monday because it is Memorial Day weekend. There are transfer support groups Monday on Zoom from 2 to 3 p.m. Tuesday on Zoom, learn about the Humanities Mellon Scholars Program, a transfer support program, and learning community for students who want to build a strong foundation in the humanities to support the major of their choice. Thursday, June 1st, is the Ethnic Studies Summit in the California History Center with keynote speaker Paul Fong, a former member of the California Assembly and the Foothill De Anza Community College District Board of Trustees. He is also a former Asian American Studies instructor here at De Anza. Friday, the Film and TV Department has its annual Student Film and Video Show, which will be in the VPAC, or Visual and Performing Arts Center, from 7 to 9 p.m. And this following Saturday will be the monthly flea market on June 3rd in the student parking lot from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m.
For some district news, following up to my previous article, searching for the next FHDA Chancellor, Lee Lambert has been chosen as the next Foothill De Anza Chancellor.
Let's come back to our Let's Ask Students on Campus segment. I'm so excited to join this week. I wasn't able to come last week. So we have Justin with us today. He's going to answer our question.
Oh, I thought this was a group effort.
No. Well, I guess it could be both of us. Our question this week is from a student who asked, I have never worked before and I am a bit nervous about starting since I'm in my 20s. How can I prepare for finding a first job this summer and what should I look for in an employer? First of all, congratulations that you are looking for a job. I'm someone who, I got my first job when I was 14 and a half. I remember I had to get permission from my parents and my school to get like a work permit. So I've been in the workforce for quite a while. I think one thing that you can look for in an employer is someone who respects your time. I think that's the main thing I would say about a first job is look for somewhere where you can learn a lot. I worked at a kind of like amusement park, so I was able to have access to multiple different opportunities that would help me get jobs in the future. So I was handling cash, I was food handling, I was doing ride operation, I had to do safety protocols. I learned first aid for that job.
In general, working with the public and doing a service job will be a great skill building opportunity for you. So Bella, you work at a coffee shop right now.
Yes, I am a barista. I work at a Pete's Coffee, and I've been there for about a year and a half now. I'm so grateful for this job because, like I said, they do respect my time. They know that I'm a student, so I'm a part-time employee. So they know I have classes, so I usually come to campus here anywhere in the 9 o'clock hour to 1 o'clock, and then I close. So I go to the Pete's near my house and I do a closing shift there, and that's how I'm able to kind of manage being a student that works at the same time.
You say that you're a bit nervous about starting since you're in your mid-20s. It's only going to get worse as you get older.
Yeah, I think mid-20s or in your 20s is a good place to start. I mean, there's going to be people who have been working like me since, we were young adults. But I do think that the longer you wait, the worse it's going to get. I will say that having a summer job is going to be a little bit easier because you're not going to be balancing school and work at the same time unless you're taking summer classes.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good start.
Yeah, for sure. And at De Anza, I feel like I say this all the time, but we have a lot of opportunities at De Anza. There's a lot of student employment jobs and opportunities. So I'm a student intern here at De Anza, and because of that, I'm able to both work and learn here at school. So I can diversify while not taking up too much more of my time than I would otherwise.
I know there's some organizations on campus, such as VITA. They have interns, which are paid positions. The De Anza student government, like our guest Amy said in the past few episodes ago, that the De Anza student government positions are going to be paid this upcoming year.
Not just that, but also we have students working in the food court as well.
Yeah, so there's definitely lots of opportunities to get employment on campus, but working off campus is great. I've been doing it for my entire time at De Anza. I've been doing it since high school.
But working on campus will definitely bring you into the community more. And I think being able to be on campus for a job will ease your anxieties for that, you know, and you're going to be able to take this work experience and put it on your resume and translate that into a job later on. So you're kind of, you know, building up to a full-time job.
Yeah, one thing you asked was how can I prepare for finding a job this summer? I would say ask around, go to places. I know a lot of places are hiring part-time, especially for the seasonal, the summer holiday. I would say if you go out shopping, look for, you know, help wanted signs. That's how I got my second job, was I was grocery shopping and saw that the grocery store was hiring. Other than that, you can always look online. And I think just having an open mind about where you're going to work and having an open mind when you start working is going to be super helpful. Congrats to you for wanting to get a job. I think this is going to be something to help you in the future. And also, I'm a big advocate for saving. I'm a huge saver. Having that little cushion for when I, you know, try to go and do not better things, but, you know, bigger, different things. To have that and have that cushion is something that I'm very grateful for.
Yeah, and it's saving for anything. It's saving for, you know, when you want to go on a nice trip for yourself, or if you need a little padding, you run into some trouble and you need some emergency money.
Right. I know my car broke down the other day, so that's something that a cushion is always nice to have. Yeah. Although, if this is your first time getting a job, I remember my first paycheck disappeared so fast. Yeah. I think coming from someone who was raised middle class and, you know, we didn't have money for extravagance, like finally having your own money is so fun and freeing.
It's liberating.
For the beginning, when you like realize and you're like, oh, I have money to buy this like one thing I've been wanting for, you know, for a while. And
then you're like, oh no, I have to pay for stuff now.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only thing is now, like when I go like grocery shopping, I'm like, dang, this was 12 hours of my time, or not 12 hours. I'm like, ooh, this was 3 or 4 hours of my time. Like counting my spending in hours I've worked really makes me save more.
Yeah.
Like thinking about things in, you know, $18 increments.
Yeah.
I mean, my first job, I was paid $12 an hour. So it's definitely been a leap. I think climbing the workplace ladder. I mean, I get paid in tips too, so that's where most of my income comes from.
Yeah, I remember working $3.61 an hour.
God. That's so illegal.
Yeah, no, well, I was a little child out in the flats of Utah.
Yeah.
Working at
super
some
illegal
horse stables.
Yeah, I think that's one thing. Make sure
don't get exploited.
Yeah, make sure that if someone is disrespecting your time, to remind yourself that you're allowed to leave.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I didn't think I could do. Like, I was getting heavily disrespected at my old job, and they would overschedule me as a student. They knew I was a student, but they would schedule me 38 hours, which is like 2 hours underneath the full-time, so I wasn't getting benefits, but I was still working as much as the full-time. You know, if someone's taking advantage of you like that, don't be afraid to leave. There will be other job opportunities.
Yeah, they don't have loyalty to you, so you shouldn't have loyalty to them.
Yes, but also finding a good workplace where you feel like you like your coworkers, you like the people that you're, you know, serving. And I always say this, if you're like a growing boy, get a job in food service. They give you food.
Yeah.
And like find somewhere that will benefit you. Like, I'm a coffee person, so I work at a coffee shop. I get free coffee.
If you want to get absolutely ripped,
yeah, get a job at a gym.
I recommend going into construction.
Or, you know,
go through, well, not this is like small jobs we're talking about, but
yeah.
I'm not going to say go to trade school, even though I'm a big advocate for that. When
you're considering where you want to work, I think look for places that benefit you. I mean, if you're a big shopping person, work at a retail store that you like, because you usually get discounts. Discounts.
It's important, though, that your job will not overshadow your work-life balance. So if you're miserable
yeah, don't be afraid to either speak up or, leave.
Yeah. And know your rights as a worker. You can speak up, and if your company does something to mess you up, you probably can sue. Anyway.
We'll move on from that, but thank you for the writing question. And as always, for those of you guys listening, if you want to send in a question, you can email us or send us a DM on Instagram. The email will be in the show notes listed below. And we can't wait to hear your questions and respond to them.
So we're going to be starting the interview portion of the podcast. Today we have Alex Sanchez. Alex, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Alex Sanchez. I'm 20 years old. I'm majoring in political science and minoring in crop science at Purdue University.
Great. So you got a start at De Anza.
Yes, I did. I spent my senior year in De Anza's middle college program through Fremont Union High School District. I think I got that right, FUHSD.
Yeah.
So I spent that year in middle college. That was 2 years ago now. That was towards the end of COVID. We spent about a month and a half back in person towards the end of the year, that year.
At Purdue, you're involved in journalism on campus. I kind of want to get a better understanding of how journalism plays a role on your campus, coming from Lavos.
Sure. Yeah, I've been writing as a reporter for the campus desk at the Purdue Exponent for the past semester. The Purdue Exponent is sort of unusual in the style of student papers. It's one of the few independently owned paper. It's not actually controlled by the university. It became independent in the 60s over a controversy where the university administration had fired an editor over being critical of the university's stance on Vietnam War related issues. They found that, I may get some of these parts wrong, so don't sue me, but they found basically that there wasn't due process, and the Exponent then became an independent paper, employing several dozen students any given year. We have our own press, printing press. We have, delivery fleet and everything.
And that's one of the only schools with a printing press in the country, right?
Yeah. It's one of the only schools with a printing press and one of the only self-sustaining newspapers, which has brought us into some problems which we can get into down the line. But based off of that, out of its birth and its modern form as sort of this paper that's it's essentially a watchdog for the university in a lot of respects, from what I can understand. Again, I've only spent a semester on the staff, but there are certainly a lot of issues that we look out for, and a lot of reporters that really do care about individual student stories and how the administration acts.
Could you talk more about how the Exponent operates as a watchdog and how the media as a whole should be operating to protect?
Sure. Yeah, the Exponent covers pretty much everything in the West Lafayette, Indiana area. We have a campus desk and a city desk, and there are several other journalistic publications in the area. Whenever there is a controversy at the university, whenever there is just a story, I think there's this drive by reporters to follow it as far down the line as it goes. We have a lot of instances of stories we've done in the past and stories right now that may be controversial or may seem very surface level, but the paper really likes to dive deep, like any publication.
Yeah, I was talking to another one of our journalist friends at De Anza, and she was saying that she got into it because she's nosy. She wants to know what's going on.
Yeah, no, that's certainly a part of it. I think people who like drama or gossip really will find papers fun to work at. You just get to know everything that's going on, and sometimes just the most bizarre things come up.
Could you talk about maybe some of those bizarre things? Or I know that you have one story about the Exponent showing up to a protest where the police were involved.
Sure. And you can look this up online. There's a lot of really great photos we have just a whole bunch of amazing photographers. Back in late March, the university invited a speaker by the name of Michael Knowles to come speak at the university.
Could you briefly say who Michael Knowles is?
Sure. Michael Knowles is a far-right commentator, very on the front lines of, I guess he would say, like, questioning the trans ideology, but really, just very hateful things I think everybody can agree on.
Yeah, just a professional transphobe.
Exactly. And so the university, through a student organization, had paid him several $1,000s to come speak. And their reasoning was, well, it's an event that's free and open to everybody, which, I think there's a little bit of something there. It is a public university, so free speech is their big thing, and the university administration, has always emphasized that they're gunning towards free speech at every junction, I guess. And so they're going to let him speak, I guess. But they paid a lot of money for him to come do that. Anyways, I was outside of the Exponent, separately, not covering the story, was involved with an activist group there, and we were coordinating with a few others in the area to do a protest of the event. It was inside our university student union, and we surrounded the room that it was in and did chants and were generally disruptive, as any student demonstration is going to go. We had way more people show up to the protest than people actually went into the lecture that he was giving. Anyways, so there's a general rule on campus that, not on campus, but just generally in public spaces, that you can demonstrate as long as it's not a fire hazard, not a threat to the public. And so we really tried to, in our activist group and everybody surrounding it, really tried to make an effort not to be a danger to anybody, just to create a nuisance. The Purdue University police, though, has had some controversy in the past. You can look into the Adonis Tuggle situation that happened about a year ago. It's way too much to get into here, but you can look it up. Anyways, they decided that we were being too loud, or we were being a nuisance to the lecture that was going on. Even though we had clarified with them that it was a legal demonstration, they began to threaten to arrest us. And I'll say this because there's recordings of it, probably somewhere online, that they did threaten to arrest us. They grouped up about 20 of us, closed off the entrances, and told us that we were going to be arrested because we were disobeying their orders to leave, despite the fact that we were there legally. They prevented anyone from going in, and I believe at a certain point prevented anybody from going out. So seeing this, I saw a few of the university paper, the Exponent photographers, kind of waved at them, and they eventually came down the hall and started taking photos of the cops. And eventually, I didn't witness any conversation, but pretty quickly after that, they all decided that they weren't going to arrest us, or that it wasn't worth it. So, I'm not going to allege, just for legal reasons, any sort of like conspiracy, like, oh, they were scared of, the press coverage or whatever, but realistically, police departments in general don't love a lot of scrutiny.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good example of, a situation that I'm happy that the university paper was covering, because I think there are situations that activists on campus can get into that they really help shield people from brutality in certain instances by making sure there's a watchdog for that.
Yeah, really using their independence to the fullest.
Exactly. Yeah, so
and this goes for all free and independent media.
Right, exactly. I think it's really important for campus papers to be a watchdog for campus police, for the campus administration, because there are questionable things going on at every university campus.
So what do you hope to accomplish while working at the Exponent?
That's a great question. I think just in general, putting people in powerful positions up to a level of scrutiny that I think is warranted for anybody in a position of power. I think it's incredibly important to focus on that. I don't know how much I can elaborate on that more than that basic sort of cliche explanation that, hold them to a level of scrutiny.
Just to recap, we are talking with Alex Sanchez from Purdue University, who works for the Exponent newspaper, which is a student-run publication. Do you have any recommendations for De Anza students, whether for transfer or for middle college students, how to better prepare yourself for a 4-year experience and kind of what to expect?
Sure. I mean, I know there's a lot of transfer students at De Anza and a lot of middle college people going into the transfer route to UCs. I think that it's important to get involved in as many things as you can. Don't shut yourself in. I've been the victim of like poor judgment on that before.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. I mean, especially if you're going to an out-of-state college, I realized, I mean, part of the reason that I went to Indiana was because it was really different and I wanted a different experience. But there can be certain things that are really, really different from home, and it makes it very easy to shut yourself in. So I'd say, go out and be involved. And I think an extension of that, the most important thing that is really failing right now, I think just overall for many different reasons, it's not like, whoever's listening to this needs to get their act together, but get involved, stay active. There's no excuse for, if your university is doing something unexcusable, there's no excuse to not be involved and not be critical and not be taking some action. I know classes are hard, but this, I believe, comes before everything, and I think that's something everybody's got to live by.
I absolutely agree. Do you have any final closing thoughts?
Sure. I mean, just look out for things. If you're a reporter, look out for leads, follow leads of, not to be confused with the portion that goes at the beginning of an article, but follow leads on potential stories, explore everything that you can. And if you're a student not really into writing or reading or editing, and doesn't really want to work at a paper, get involved in activism, be on the ground doing things, because as much as it may not be appreciated right now, it will be appreciated later down the line, your kids' generation, your grandkids' generation, because we wouldn't have all of the freedoms right now that we have. I mean, you look at student representation on boards, you look at free speech on campus, you look at grad student unions or professors unions or anything. You wouldn't have that without student activism, and a lot of students died for that. Not like dedicated their lives, but actually were killed for that. And you can read up on Kent State or Berkeley free speech. It's important to keep that in mind, and though it may get dangerous, though you may get arrested or whatever, you're a college kid. You can provide excuses to the cops if you get arrested. It's your duty as a college student at any community college or public university, even private universities, even though it's a little more complicated there, to get involved. It's your duty to be the change, even if you're sacrificing a little bit of your life to do that.
Absolutely. We're all part of a long history.
Sure, exactly. Yeah, so I'm going to provide a bit of a disclaimer. Anything that I mention involving the Purdue University police, anything that I mention involving the Purdue exponent is, I'm going to say it's opinion. It's what I remember, and that may be flawed. Nothing I am saying in this interview is set in stone. I'm going to just leave that out there, and you can make of that what you will.
Thank you, Alex, for being on the podcast today. Again, this is Alex Sanchez. Thank you for joining us and being on.
Yeah, my pleasure. It was really great to do this.
And as always, there are resources for students here on campus, including the mobile food pantry, housing assistance, health psychological services, and transportation services. All students get a VTA Smart Pass and Clipper card. There is HEFOS, which is a resource for undocumented students. There is a Pride Center on campus with LGBTQ resources. There's MPS, EPS, and LEAD learning programs. And as always, come join Lavos. We are a student-run publication, and we've been the voice of De Anza since 1967. Come join us in room L42, or email us, or even DM us on our Instagram. And one thing I would like to promote is that our podcast is now on Spotify. You can search us at Students on Campus under Podcasts, or look up Laveau's News at De Anza. This episode was written by Bella McClintock, recorded by Bella McClintock and Justin Fry, and produced and edited by Justin Fry.